بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كلية الإمام الكاظم، أقسام الديوانية، قسم اللغة الإنجليزية، المرحلة الرابعة، مادة النحو، أستاذ محمد حسين البدري. Later on. So today I'm going to talk about section 11 for structural deficiencies of non-finite clauses. What are the structural and the structure and the form deficiencies of non-finite clauses? This makes it different from finite clauses, of course. We talked about them, but in general now in some detail. The absence of the finite verb from non-finite clauses means that they have what? No distinctions of person, number, or modal auxiliaries. Of course, when we have, for example, he is playing football. He is playing. He is playing. This is what non-finite. This is finite clause. We have distinction. We have here he, what is what singular is. So that's why we have is here. Okay, person, the same thing. But here we don't have, because we use ing clause, to infinitive, verbless clause. So there is no distinction of person, number, or modal auxiliaries or auxiliary, together with the frequent absence of subject. Of course, and we don't have subject. Remember, sometimes we use subject, of course, and sometimes we don't use subject. It is up to you. So this suggests that their value as a means of syntactic cooperation. Okay, so we have what here? We have a syntactic cooperation. From its name, cooperation, and it is compressed. Okay. Certain kinds of non-finite clauses are particularly favored in the careful style. When do we find? Someone may ask, where do we find non-finite clauses? Usually find it in written prose. Okay. Poetry and plays. We always see it. Okay. In academic writing, it is always used when you are writing a highly style. Okay. When your style is very perfect, you can use what? Use these ways, these non-finite clauses, in order to make it more perfect. That's why the poets, novelists, playwriters always use non-finite clauses in their writing. So when the writer has the leisure to make a virtue out of compactness, okay, of course here the writer, when using non-finite clauses, has a purpose behind this. Okay, has a purpose behind this. But the advantage of compactness must be balanced against the stumbling block of ambiguity. So here sometimes there is ambiguity. We have ambiguity because we don't have, for example, the subject, for example, the complement. Subject or verb. So we have ambiguity here for the absence of subject. Why? Here the absence of subjects leaves doubt. To make it more clear right now. Yes. So here the absence of subject, because we don't have a subject, leaves doubt as to which nearby nominal element is notionally the subject. Which is the subject here? Why? Because it is here it is ambiguous. Why? Because we don't have subject. For example, we met you leaving the room. Here we have what? ing clause. We met you leaving the room. What is the origin of the sentence if we want to make it finite? We met you when you were leaving the room, or when we were leaving the room. You see? This is what? This is the finite clause. But if we delete when you were or when we were, it will be what? Non-finite. We don't have this. We met you leaving the room. Here, because we said that sometimes it is ambiguous. How it is ambiguous? We met you leaving the room. Who leaving the room? We or you? Okay. Of course, here it depends on what, on the situation, on context. The context will tell us whether it is what it is, those or you. Okay. I mean we or you, to put it more clear. So it depends here on context. That's why it is ambiguous. Why it is ambiguous? Because we have the absence of subject. How to make it, or how to disambiguate it, is very important. Okay, maybe in the exam I give you certain sentences and I ask you to disambiguate them. How to disambiguate it? You can disambiguate it in this way. You can say, we met you when we were leaving the room, or when you were leaving the room. Okay, we have another examples, of course, here. When no referential link with a nominal can be discovered in the linguistic context, an indefinite subject, somebody, something, may be inferred. Okay, we can infer. Sometimes it depends on the sentence. You can look at the sentence and you can infer. Infer here, you have studied this in linguistics, inference. Okay, you have to deduce. So it can be inferred from the sentence, from the situation. What is implicated here? What is intended here? What is the subject? Somebody, something, or else I of the speaker. Sometimes I. Okay. So to here we have what? To infinitive. To be an administrator is to have the worst job in the world. To be an administrator is to have the worst job in the world. So here, to be an administrator, we don't have subject, but here, what is the subject? One may ask. It's ambiguous. Here we can say for a person to be an administrator, for me to be an administrator, for example. Okay, or we can say when I become, or when I am an administrator, because we have be. Okay, becoming an administrator is to have the worst job in the world. See, it's wonderful. It makes your language wonderful, even when speaking, when writing. Now I am using it when speaking, when writing. See, it's a non-finite. Okay, when writing, when speaking. Okay, it is good to use it. Another example here, the prospects are not very good, to be honest. You see, to be honest, to infinitive here. For example, if I am to be honest, if I am to be honest, if I am to be honest, the prospects are not very good, so we can infer that if I am to be honest. To be honest with you, for example, when you talk to someone, you can say, to be honest with you, you are wrong. To be yani, if I am honest with you, if I am to be honest with you, you are wrong. You see? For example, being happy, there was a party. Being happy, there was a party. So if I was happy, there will be a party, or there would be a party. If she was, you can here put the subject, I mean, according to the situation. Here we have note. In negative non-finite clauses, negative, how can we deal with sentences that, I mean, non-finite sentences which are negative? The negative particle is placed immediately before the verb. You see? Before the verb. It is his fault for not doing anything about it. The wisest policy is not to interfere. Okay? This is, see, for explanation, for us. Delete it, omit it. It is, or the wisest policy is not to interfere. It's for us, it means. For us not to interfere. That's important. Not P. So here we come to verbless clauses. We will see what's verbless clauses. From its name, it means that we don't have verb, and we talked about this point. With verbless clause, we can usually infer ellipsis of the verb be. The subject, when omitted, can be treated as recoverable from the context. You see? The same point here. We can infer the verb, even we can infer it from what? I mean, here because we have verbless clause, we have what? Ellipsis, deleted, okay, omission of the verb, so we can infer it from the context of the sentence, and also we can infer what? The subject. The same point. Still, we are talking about the same ideas, nothing new. Dozens of people were stranded, many of them children. See, many of them children. We don't have here verb. Verbless, many of them children. So it is past tense. We can say many of them being children. We can say many of them were children. No problem. Whether right or wrong, he always comes off worst in an argument. You see, whether right or wrong. Whether right or wrong. See, we don't have subject, and we don't have what? We don't have verb. Verbless and subjectless, if it is right to say so. So we don't have subject here, and we don't have verb. So whether right or wrong. Okay, as I told you in the previous lecture, I said if wrong, correct it. If wrong, correct it. When I talking to the students, I give them example or sentence. I told them, or I asked them, if wrong, correct it. If wrong. So here we don't have what? Verb. How can we infer the verb and subject from the context? So what is here the verb and subject? What do you think? Think. Good. Because I'm talking to you, so I say what? What if it is right or wrong? The sentence. So I'm addressing the students. If it is right or wrong, if wrong, correct it. Correct it. It means what? The sentence. If the sentence is right, if the sentence is wrong, whether right or wrong, okay, because we have here he, whether right or wrong, he always comes off. Whether right or wrong, do it. For example, you are talking to someone, you can say whether right or wrong, do it. It means here whether you are right or wrong, do it, or whether it is right or wrong, do it. You see, here you can infer it from the situation, from the context of the sentence, of course. Verbless clauses can also, on occasions and sometimes, be treated as reductions of non-finite clauses. So, verbless clause is what? It is a kind of non-finite clause. So, here we have what? We have non-finite clause within non-finite clause. Okay? Sometimes we have play within a play. Remember in this with Hamlet, sentence within sentence. Here we have non-finite clause within non-finite clause. How? Here we have verbless clause as a reduction of non-finite. For example, too nervous to reply, he started the floor at the floor. Too nervous to reply, he started at the floor. You see, being too nervous to reply. Being too nervous to reply. Reduction. We can say it is what? It is being too nervous to reply. This is reduction. And here also the verb clause itself contains an infinite clause to reply. To reply is what? To infinitive. You see? We have here to infinitive and we have verbless. In the second this between the brackets we have ing clause and we have to infinitive clause. That's very important. Together. These are examples together. So sometimes I ask you, give me example in which we have two finite clauses. Okay, clause within a clause. I mean non-finite clause within non-finite clause. Or change. As with particular clauses, the subject is often introduced by with. Remember this, we talked about this. with the tree tall, with the tree now tall, we get what? More shade. With the tree now tall, we get more shade. Okay, so here we don't have verbless, and it means when the tree becomes tall, for example, or is tall, is now tall. Since the verbless clause is basically elliptical intensive verb, you remember intensive verb is our linking verb clause, as we talked about them. The variations of its structures are somewhat limited. The following, here we have some examples. She marched briskly up the slope, the blank across her shoulder. The blank across her shoulder. See this verbless clause. The blank across her shoulder. SV A. This is A. The blank is what? Subject. Across her shoulder. This adverb. So where is the verb? It is verbless. As if we can say she marched briskly up the slope. The blank was across her. See? Was. So here we have what? We have elliptical intensive verb. When ripe, these apples will be delicious. The same idea. When ripe means when it is ripe. Here also we have some subjectless and verbless in this sentence. When ripe, these apples will be delicious. When ripe, these apples will be delicious. Can we make it non-finite? ing, non-finite clause? Yes. We can say when ripening, okay, when ripening, these apples will be delicious. Can we make it with ed, participle? Yes. When ripen, these apples will be delicious. You see, we can change it. His gaze travel round, irresolute. You see, his gaze travel around, irresolute. So irresolute what? Subjectless and verbless. So it is verbless, no subject. See, between the brackets here we have when, as if we can use when. When his gaze, when his gaze travel around when he was irresolute, for example. So he was, it means her gaze, she. You see, from the context on the situation of the sentence, you can infer the subject. Okay, you can say here being irresolute, to be irresolute, to infinity. Okay, here we have optional adverbs. We can add them initially, finally. It's easy, you know this. She looked with disgust at the dog. Quiet now in Dina's grasp. You see, quiet. We don't have here subject, and we don't have here what? Verb. No subject, no verb. She looked with disgust at the dog. She was quiet, or she is quiet now. She is quiet now in Dina's grasp. Okay, I will finish with this. I will not talk a lot. Just these two sections, and they are very easy. I will give you time to read it and check it. Okay. See you next time. If you have any question, you can ask privately.